So RYVYL is the new company, but keep in mind it's still a point of sale system.
Yep.
In the world of cryptocurrency, in the world of digital currency, and of course I can't start this interview without talking to you about the latest crisis in the world of digital currency. Now, keep in mind, this was not a blockchain crisis. This was not a Bitcoin crisis. This was a crisis of what appears to be a criminal enterprise where they were using fiat currency, AKA a digital token, that had nothing behind it to create value where there was none. So clear us up on that, because you're right at the tip of the spear here. I know you've been asked about this on major networks and by even on an earnings call, I think. So talk about that a little bit.
So, I kept saying this for a long time, and I hate and love saying "I told you so."
Yeah.
This is the wrong thing to say at this point.
Yeah.
But when you design this digital platform, you have to stay prudent, and the temptation is very high because you control everything. Yeah. And if you design these backdoors into your system, and you allow the same person that benefits from utilizing the custodial accounts to be the gatekeeper,
yeah,
there is a number after which that trust is broken.
Yeah.
That's what happened here.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
they started making bets with other people's money.
Right. And they use it as their own cash register, too.
Right.
Right.
Loans. And what's interesting, donations. So I think this is the first time that we've seen illegal activity going to legitimate channels.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see where this goes.
Well, and what the donations you're talking about are political donations,
most of them were political
which
donations.
is interesting because when you talk about donations and you talk about philanthropy, you think about Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff, okay, who was the gatekeeper as well as for NASDAQ. I mean, he was the CEO of NASDAQ at one point, and he was being benevolent with certain charities. Okay, at the same time, he was the gatekeeper, and he was betting with other people's money by using, false bookkeeping tactics. Does this? I don't think this changes. First of all, I think it validates what you guys are doing.
That's right.
Based upon the security on it, and we'll get to that in just one second. I don't think this changes the safety features of digital currency. I do think it brings up the question of regulation, though, don't you? And I think,
absolutely,
isn't that the big issue here? Because I think we could be in a, first of all, I'm prone to say this with you personally, we're already in a digital currency state anyway with the US dollar.
We are.
Most countries are. They just don't think of it as digital currency, but it is. It's a fiat currency, not based upon anything but perception, okay?
Correct.
We happen to be the world currency, and everything, all goods and services are priced in US dollars for now.
For now.
But at the same time, this crisis doesn't really affect the validity of the blockchain. And it doesn't affect the validity of what you're doing in American Samoa. It doesn't affect the validity of what you, and I also think, as I said before, it validates. So talk about that part of it, because this really puts the fine point on what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so first of all, let's discuss nomenclature.
Yeah.
So when you say blockchain, it's like saying Windows.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the applications on it in a direct fashion.
It's just
a platform that runs the system.
Yeah,
and you can run multiple.
It's the skeleton, right? It's the bones, right? Okay.
It is the engine that operates certain applications.
Right.
Now, there are two big buckets. One bucket are cryptocurrencies, which are algorithmic and other methods of establishing value through perception without any intrinsic value.
Right. Bucket number one.
That's bucket number one. Bucket number two are stablecoins.
Okay.
Within the stablecoin arena, you also have this division. One that is completely and 100% backed up by fiat and reports that safety and compliance in real time, and one that reports periodically about that stability.
But
in the bucket,
but
let me just finish that thought, that in the bucket where there is 100% third-party verification of safety and compliance, There's only one company,
Bitcoin?
RYVYL.
RYVYL. Oh,
That's the
company,
only-
not currency. I beg your pardon.
There's only one company and currently only one such token called coyni that is both 100% backed up by fiat currency, verified by a third-party auditor, and maintained by a federal responsible entity, which is a federal bank. I think in eventuality, all stablecoins will be this way. And further, I would say that there is a very strong bipartisan support for regulatory oversight in that direction.
First of all, does this, putting a highlight or a spotlight on what you guys are able to do that no one else can do, is this able you to grab more market share, or hasn't done yet, I should say?
So you say, and I'm happily accepting that, that only we can do it. I think others can do it.
They just haven't done it.
They just chose to not do it.
Right. Which is an important designation, by the way.
Right. So we chose to do it from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is the way we designed the infrastructure. This is the way we're going. And we will continue on that path, and we will never leverage these funds into other types of activities. Not through DeFi, not through lending, not through investments, not through other interesting ventures. We are doing what we do in only one way, and we'll continue to do it this way. I think in eventuality, the regulator will have to insist that everybody do it this way. And the problem is that those that have already subscribed to alternative means will have very, very difficult time going back to that arena. So, we see efforts from the likes of USDC, for example, who does leverage their platform and does report periodically about the safety and stability of their system. It will be almost impossible for them to go into the space where they report in real time and do not use these funds for alternative ventures, because this is where they make their money.
Right.
They have cost in running their stablecoin because they are decentralized, and Ethereum still costs in gas money. We are centralized. We have no cost. So if they come to where we are and become 100% safe as we are, they cannot compete with us commercially because they have cost. We don't have cost. If they stay where they are, I think they have to be regulated back into reality. And eventually this will happen.
Right. What's interesting here is there's, if you look at a macro view of all of this, one of the most important reasons there needs to be digital, stable, fiat currency with third-party, either third-party oversight or government regulation is because there are countries that don't trust their own currency.
A lot of them.
And if you think in terms of countries, say Venezuela, for example, who doesn't trust their own currency. Mexico, back in 1972, for example, when a loaf of bread went from 2 pesos to 20 million pesos, right? This is one of the biggest reasons. And then you start seeing a world of digital currency where we're all sort of working on a new platform here. I think the number one gatekeeper here is a payment system.
That's right.
So we're all in a digital currency world.
Right.
So what? What do I do now? 2 questions. How do I convert it to cash so I can tip people? How do I convert it to cash so I can pay my mortgage? And who's going to be the gatekeeper there? And that's exactly what you're talking about with RYVYL. Talk about that for a second before we let you out of here today.
So yes, I think one of the most interesting examples today is what's happening in Lebanon. The banking system is in utter collapse. And they effectively switched to digital currency. Unfortunately, their only choice was Bitcoin. And they trade Bitcoin at approximately 5-to-1 ratio of what it is trading in the Western world. Perhaps we need to talk about Bitcoin a little bit as well later on. But you know, at the base of all of this, I think stablecoin has the opportunity to really be the end-all, be-all type of international currency and replace all of them, the dollar and the yuan and all others. Further, it proposes an interesting opportunity to go back to what used to be called the gold standard.
Yeah.
Right? Why not add an additional backing of a commodity? We see that in Asia with the petro-yuan
Sure.
being attached to oil futures.
So such as,
but why not gold? Why not silver? Why
Sure.
not other commodities?
go back to
Go back to basics.
sure. Which, by the way,
stablecoin allows for that opportunity.
do you realize the wave of population that is currently skeptical about digital currency that would hop on board in a New York minute?
In a minute.
To do that. Ben, last of all, for you guys, what's our numbers like? I'm not talking about numbers that we can see by looking at your Edgar. I'm talking about transaction numbers.
Yes,
When we first met you, your transactions were what on a monthly basis per month, roughly?
I think we did about $30 million a month.
Yeah. Where are we at now?
So we are just in possession of the third quarter numbers. We just reported them yesterday in our earnings call. We had at least 1 month where we passed the $500 million for 1 month.
I give us the credit, right?
That's right.
I give it right here.
I love doing these statistics.
Yeah.
That translates to just over $700,000 per hour, every hour, 24/7, 365.
And you guys can handle it without a hitch.
Without a hitch, never a denial of service, never lost a dollar.
Good stuff. I can't wait for you to come back. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Anytime,
Ben Errez, Chairman and co-founder, RYVYL.